Hey, deep divers.
Uh,
Election night, we're all kind of like glued to our screens, right? Wondering who's going to be calling the shots for the next 4 years.
totally.
But
A big question.
yeah, the big question on everyone's mind is, are we actually going to know who won tonight?
Right.
This is feeling a lot like 2020.
Yeah.
And we've got this great article from the Daily Beast that's kind of breaking down why we might be in for a long wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a nail biter.
So subscribe and hit that like button and all that good stuff. And let's dive into this thing.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So first of all, why the suspense? Why is this such a long process? Is this just like 2020 all over again?
Well, yeah, 2020 definitely set a precedent, right? It took 4 days for them to call the election.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was rough. And just back then, we have these 7 key states that are going to super close. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona.
These are the big ones.
These are the battlegrounds, yeah. And officials are already saying, patience, people.
Patience. That's not what you want to hear on election night.
Mm.
But wait a second. I thought some states were reporting results early,
Yeah.
like tonight early.
Yeah, so there are a few like Virginia, Ohio, Colorado, and Florida that the Harris campaign thinks will be mostly wrapped up by 10 p.m. Eastern time.
So we get a few appetizers before the main course.
Right,
A
exactly.
little taste of what's to come.
Yeah, you can kind of get a sense of the overall trend, even if those states aren't expected to flip.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Oh.
We've seen this movie before, right?
Yeah.
Early leads can be misleading,
Yeah.
especially when the races are super tight.
Like you think you aced a test.
Yeah.
And then bam, you see that one question that you totally messed up on.
Yeah, so even if one candidate seems way ahead early on,
Yeah.
don't get too excited
All right.
or too bummed out
Yeah.
because things can change dramatically as more votes get counted.
Okay, so those early states
Yeah.
are like the pre-show.
To pre-show entertainment.
The pre-game show.
Oh.
When do we get to the headliners? When do the real results start rolling in?
So according to the Harris campaign's prediction timeline, we should see most of the votes tallied in Georgia, North Carolina, and Michigan by midnight tonight.
Oh, okay.
Then Wisconsin is expected to join the party by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
All right, so some states are getting their act together.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling things are about to slow down.
Of course, it wouldn't be election night without a little drama. Right?
Oh, gosh.
And that drama usually comes courtesy of Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada.
Of course.
The states that kept us on the edge of our seats back in 2020.
I knew it. It's always those states. What is it with those states? What makes them so slow?
Well, each one has its own unique quirks, but let's start with Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They've got tens of thousands of provisional ballots. Those are the ones that need extra verification, and guess what? They can't even start counting those until Friday.
Friday. Are you serious? That's like ordering takeout and being told it will be delivered next week. I can already feel like the collective anxiety of the nation rising.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a long wait, especially in Pennsylvania, but it's not just them. Arizona's got its own set of issues that could slow things down.
Okay, Arizona, what's your deal?
Well, they're actually allowed to start processing mail-in ballots early, unlike Pennsylvania, but there's a catch. Their ballots are super long this year. In Maricopa County, the ballots are 2 pages long.
2 pages. Are they voting on a novel or something?
It's a lot to process, that's for sure. It slows down the counting, increases the risk of errors, and, those paper jams are a nightmare.
Oh, paper jams.
Yeah.
It's like the election equivalent of the blue screen of death.
It definitely throws a wrench in the process.
So we've got Pennsylvania's late start, Arizona's epic ballots.
Right.
And then there's Nevada.
Nevada's always interesting. Unlike most states where mail-in ballots need to arrive by Election Day, Nevada's like, come on in, the water's fine. They'll accept ballots without a postmark all the way until Friday, and those with a postmark until Saturday.
Saturday. Are you kidding me? It's like inviting people to the party a week late.
Yep.
So basically, if the election is super close, those late-arriving Nevada ballots could be like the deciding factor.
You got it.
Oh, boy.
And that's why this waiting game is more than just annoying. It actually creates a whole other set of problems.
Oh, no, this doesn't sound good. What else could possibly go wrong?
Well, when people are desperate for answers and there's this information vacuum, things can get a little chaotic. It's like waiting for the wifey to reconnect. You get impatient. You start clicking everything. And next thing you know, you've downloaded a virus.
Perfect analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we protect ourselves? How do we avoid falling into those traps? How do we become like misinformation ninjas?
Well, first of all, you got to check your emotions at the door.
Okay.
Misinformation thrives on fear, anger, outrage. If a headline is making you see red,
Yeah.
take a step back, breathe, and ask yourself, is this coming from a credible source?
Okay, so don't let those clickbaity headlines hijack our brains.
Right.
What else should we look out for?
Look for evidence.
Okay.
Anyone can make a claim, but is it backed up by facts? Check if the source is reputable. Look for multiple sources reporting the same information, and be wary of anything that feels like overly dramatic or sensationalized.
That's what my grandma always says. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly, especially on the internet.
Especially on the internet.
Right.
And don't forget to check the date.
Oh, yeah. Information can become outdated so quickly.
Yeah.
So make sure what you're reading is still relevant.
What was true yesterday might be ancient history today.
Especially in politics.
Especially in politics. So it's all about being a savvy information detective. But what about when the candidates themselves start throwing fuel on the misinformation fire?
That's a huge concern. We've seen candidates declare victory prematurely or make unsubstantiated claims of fraud.
Right.
Especially when the results are close.
It's like that friend who always calls winner before the game is even over.
Right.
It's so annoying.
It undermines the whole process.
Yeah.
It's crucial to wait for those official results from election officials and reputable news sources before jumping to conclusions.
So don't believe everything you see on social media.
Yeah.
Especially from those overly enthusiastic supporters.
Right.
But what about when those claims of fraud start swirling? How do we, it's easy to get swept up in that, especially when we're feeling anxious.
It's important to remember that our election system has multiple safeguards in place to prevent fraud.
Okay.
Those election officials are working overtime to make sure every vote is counted accurately.
They're like the unsung heroes of democracy.
They are.
Battling those paper jams and misinformation.
Yes.
In the name of fair elections.
We salute you.
They deserve all the praise.
So trust the process. Be patient. And if you see those fraud claims flying around, don't just hit share. Do your own research. Check those sources. And be critical.
Be those savvy internet sleuths.
Yes.
Separating fact from fiction. Okay, so we got to be smart about it. But let's be real. This whole waiting game, it's like an emotional roller coaster.
It is.
How do we cope? How do we stay sane while we're stuck in this limbo? What are your tips for surviving the election night emotional storm? It's like the whole nation is holding its breath.
It really is.
So how do we deal with all this election anxiety? How do we stay sane while we're stuck in this in-between?
Well, first things first, acknowledge your feelings. Don't try to bury them or pretend that you're not like a bundle of nerves. It's totally okay to feel anxious or stressed.
It's okay to freak out.
Just a little bit. Yeah, we're all in the same boat here. Accepting those feelings is like the first step to managing them.
Okay.
And then you got to focus on what you can control.
Okay. I like that shifting our focus from the things that are stressing us out to the things that we can actually do something about. What can we control in this chaotic election whirlwind?
Your media consumption.
Oh, okay.
It's so tempting to be glued to the news, constantly refreshing for updates.
Yeah.
But that is a recipe for a meltdown.
Totally.
Set some boundaries. Maybe check for updates at specific times.
Okay.
Or limit yourself to once or twice a day.
Step away from the screens.
Yes.
Resist the urge to doom scroll.
Exactly.
But then what do we do with all this newfound free time?
Kill it with things that bring you joy.
Okay.
Spend time with loved ones. Go for a walk. Read a book. Bake a cake. Dance like nobody's watching. Whatever helps you de-stress and disconnect from the election madness.
Self-care is key.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
What about those inevitable political debates with friends and family? You know, the ones that can turn Thanksgiving dinner into a war zone?
Oh, yeah. First of all, remember that you have the right to opt out. You don't have to engage in debates that are just going to raise your blood pressure.
Sometimes silence is golden.
Exactly.
But what if you do find yourself in the middle of a heated discussion?
Right.
How do we navigate those minefields without causing any casualties?
Empathy and respect are your secret weapons.
Okay.
Even if you disagree completely, remember that you're talking to a person, not a political opponent.
Right.
Try to understand their perspective. And if things get too heated, politely disengage.
It's like that saying, agree to disagree, right? Sometimes it's best to just walk away before things escalate. But even with all the self-care and the boundary setting, it's still hard not to get caught up in the enormity of it all,
Yeah.
This election feels like a defining moment.
For sure.
For our country.
It does feel that way.
It does. And that sense of importance is valid. It's about finding that balance,
Hmm.
between like passionate engagement and mindful detachment.
Absolutely.
We can be deeply invested in the outcome,
Right.
but also remember that this is just one chapter in a much larger story. It's
Exactly.
like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture.
Yes.
This election is important, yes, but life will go on no matter who wins.
It will. And we can find comfort in knowing that we're not alone in this.
Right?
Millions of people are sharing this experience.
Yeah.
This collective anticipation and anxiety. We're all in this together.
It's kind of beautiful when you think about it. This
Yeah.
shared experience, this collective holding of our breath, it connects us.
It does, in a way.
It does. And maybe that sense of connection, that shared journey, is what helps us get through these uncertain times.
So, deep divers, as we wait for those final results, remember to breathe, stay informed, stay engaged, but most importantly, stay kind to yourselves and to each other.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
The truth will come out, and we'll be here to help you make sense of it all. And that's a wrap on our election results deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, entertaining, and maybe even a little bit calming. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives, and leave a comment below. We love hearing from you. Thanks for joining us, deep divers. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay sane.